And good morning, everyone! Hey, welcome back to another Jedi Academy. Glad to have you here on the RSG channel. I'm your host, Ranger J1999, and welcome to another edition of the Council of Said Jedi. And if you're new and wondering what this is a straight Q&A show, and all we do is we answer your questions about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and we compile the best and the brightest of content creators, game changers, sprinkle in a little bit of Dr. Finn and my insanity, and then there you go. And the way it works is if you have a question for our illustrious panel, all you need to do is put your question into chat. Make sure you put question in front of your statement, and we will get it scooped up. But it behooves you to get your questions in sooner rather than later, because we do have a kind of a threshold, a kind of timeline, a cutoff point where we will stop taking questions, and we try to get to every single question we can, but sometimes time permits, so we just can't do that. That being said, let me introduce everybody that's here so far. I'm sure others may join us soon, but first, my co-host. You know him as the one who sleeps with stuffed animals, Dr. Finn, Medicine Woman, the Troll Extraordinaire.
They're cuddly, that's all I can say.
Find a woman, they're better.
No argument.
Yeah. If Finn could find a woman Porg or Baby Yoda, he would be great. I'm just saying. Let's throw that out there. Also joining us, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Warrior from Warrior Presents is here.
What's going on, you guys?
What's going on with you, Warrior?
Not much, man. I'm just happy to be here.
Yes, you are. I haven't checked your challenge of late for our ACS campaign. Let me just check that. I think it was it finished, Finn? I didn't see. Let me go to the polls here.
No, Warriors we were going to leave open until I was going to leave it until the end of the year. That's Warrior.
Fine. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a minimum, but there was no maximum. And last year we did like $1,200. So I'd love to see if we can exceed that this year.
Yeah,
I think yours already hit the threshold here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to double check, but I think you're already over the 500. Mm-hmm. And Jordica is currently winning.
Oh my gosh, no way. The community is the best ever.
Y'all suck, man.
Yes.
Listen.
The Jordica's at 271. Rose Chico is at 172. And Wicked at 70.
Y'all need to knock this off. Listen, Warrior does this. He comes in here, he puts up a Zeta, and y'all like he's like acting like, oh, I'm being so brave for putting Rose on there, and y'all let him off the hook. Y'all need to teach him a lesson. Y'all burn Finn's ass and everybody else's who does a Zeta on this thing. Teach Warrior a lesson. He's doing a good deed for charity, but you must make him suffer. Y'all let him off the hook every time, man. I can't believe this, because Warrior's like, oh, please don't, please, I don't want
I have never begged. You know what? I think that's why
you begged, man. Last year you were begging, dude.
No.
Dude, I'm gonna create clips.
You find me any clip. Yes, you do a montage of me begging. I think we can do that. Yeah, because I've never begged for that stuff. All I ever said was, this would be my heart's desire is this, and then if you guys want to screw me, do that. That's okay. Do what you want.
Yeah, right.
I may or may not cry. So.
Yeah, that's all right.
But honestly, it doesn't really matter which it goes, because the Zeta spent and it's a good cause, and so it doesn't really matter. But people want to know what I don't want or want. And last year I said, it would be cool if it was Mission. Just saying, and they totally came out, and that was super awesome. And this year I did the same thing. I had to let people know that if there was one on that list, I would want to apply. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, my list this year is better than last year's list. But I mean, there's only like one-ish, two-ish bad Zetas on my list. Like Rose is the bad one this year. I think you guys just really want me to Zeta Rose. I think that's the deal.
You must join in the draft.
Misery loves company, Warrior.
Mm-hmm. Not only did Finn have to Zeta his Rose, he now has to take her to Relic 5. Just throwing that out there. The community has spoken.
Did he lose his Relic thing for her?
Yeah, he's popped that cherry a long time ago.
Yeah, my Relic was last year. This year was Relic 5, because that's I have to
right.
Rose to Relic 5.
I bet you she'll be needed for the new Jedi training Ray, or the new Jedi Ray that's got 15 characters.
God, I hope so.
You'll be fine.
I really hope so.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
She'll be a terrifyingly necessary character that you'll be like, whoop, I did that.
I mean, words cannot describe how angry I was when they changed Finn's lead. That's all I can say. Words cannot describe it. Because that totally messed up everything I had set up with Rose. I'm like, okay, I can find a use with Rose here. I can put her on my Finn team, and she's like constantly stunning. And it's like, okay, this isn't bad. And then they changed it, and yeah, that's game over.
And then Finn put the Zeta on, and there was much rejoicing in the land, for he was suffering.
Yeah,
and the people had spoken. And then they ate the minstrels. They always eat the minstrels in this story, Finn. I don't know why.
Well, they shouldn't be made out of popcorn.
That's true. Or vitamin D. All right. So get your questions in. We are waiting to see if any of the other panelists will show up, like good old Marie's team. Although a lot of them are recovering from last week, and good old Marie's is still, I think, taking ice baths to recover from the beating his body took with the dancing last week. And if you guys still haven't seen that meme, you should. It's fantastic. It's just, I can't say enough about that meme. But get your questions in. This is usually where we kind of sit back and just think about what happened this week in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and we'll let our esteemed guests go first. Warrior, what's on your mind? What are you thinking about when you think about this game right now? What's going through that old noodle of yours?
Well, I think that a couple of things. They brought out a couple of Marquees, and talking to a couple of people who are kind of new to the game, they'd never seen a Marquee, and they were like happy. They were like, "Hey, they're giving us this character for free at 3 stars. That's cool." And I was like, "Yeah, Marquees are kind of cool." Like, it's perspective, right?
Sure.
When you go through events where you have to like grind 5 characters in a million years and tons of gear, and then like a gas type situation, and then you come back to a Marquee, you're like, yeah, I'll take a Marquee character.
Mm-hmm.
Not a problem. So, especially for free to play, because, some of these characters are usable in like, in your team at like gear 9 or 10 on a first order team on defense, or if you're at like, 1.5 or 2.5 GP or whatever. So it's like, it's like perspective. So I'm glad to see they've brought some Marquees back. That's always exciting. Plus, these kits are not over complex. They're relatively simple. I mean, there is a little bit of kind of unique interactions that can occur, but they're not overly complex. So it's nice to see them try and draw that complexity back, because the kits were, sometimes get like just a little out of control.
You mean like gas?
And so there's that. I like exactly. But I like the new characters. I like them bringing some Marquees back. I like the infusion of. It feels like new content, even if it's just a character. I did a live stream, and I wanted to show everybody the Hyperdrive Bundle on my last live stream, but of course my Scissorman account, free to play account, I didn't want to buy it on my free to play account. So I was in a conundrum. I was like, I don't want to spend the money on my free to play account because it won't really be a free to play account, but at the same time, like, I do want to show everybody what's in it, because it's pretty cool. It actually is really cool. I got it for my main account just because because Warriors.
You wanted to be pure with your Scissorman.
But I went in Warrior and I bought it, and I thought it was just going to be like every other stupid pack where you just buy it and it drops down and it like shows you like a page and a half of crap, and like, wow, okay, cool. And it wasn't. It was actually like they programmed an entire thing where like the game disappears behind you, and like writing comes up, and sounds, special effects are happening, and things are shooting across the sky, and like your name changes into gold, and it's like pew 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 pew. It's like they obviously took time to program this entire package. It's like an entire like ordeal, and then after the fact, there's like 15 brand new achievements, and in those achievements, there's a crap ton. There's like another 500 crystals. There's like another 5 Zeta pieces. There's like a bunch of other resources and character shards and other stuff. So I wanted everyone to be able to experience that so people could fully understand if they wanted it or not and what it entailed. And if they never buy it, they could just at least enjoy the ride, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know, because they made the Hyperdrive kind of an experience, and I wanted everyone to be able to experience it. So anyway, long story short, on our live stream, I said, you know what, for anybody out there, let's give it to SureShot, because SureShot's account's mostly free to play. What I mean by that is he has bought, he has spent in his lifetime of playing he's played for 2.5 years. He has spent a total of $200 over 2.5 years. He bought the $100 Phoenix pack and then a couple of $20 packs over his lifetime. So he's really close to being free to play on that account. And so everybody chipped in, and some people $5 here, $5 there, or whatever. We got to $100 by the end of the stream, and so we logged into his account and bought the Hyperdrive bundle. So everybody watching got to see. Yeah, so everybody watching got to see the Hyperdrive bundle. Plus, SureShot's never been compensated ever for anything. He just comes over to my house and hangs out with us, and it's kind of that.
Well, that would make him a moocher. No, I'm just kidding. He's not a moocher.
No, it's cool because, you know, when you're watching a live stream,
I watch him all the time.
It'd be boring, but when we've got Finity, it's awesome. Just kidding.
You heard it here first from Warrior.
I would just like to thank
I'm
Warrior.
clipping that. Okay, that's going to be clipped forever.
And Warrior.
We're disconnected.
Oh, God. Warrior, can you pull this knife out of my back you just stuck in? I mean, I thought we were military brothers and all this other stuff, but I guess...
That is going to be clipped forever.
But
I guess...
But for real...
I'm going to make that my ringtone.
One person on the show's okay, but
Slow knife
more than one
cuts
person.
deepest.
The banter is just the part that everyone likes, the banter. So he's always come over and give me that banter.
He is really...
Awesome.
I enjoy him very much.
Yeah, and it enhances the experience for the user, and he's never, ever been like, hey, man, can I have some money or do this or do that? He just shows up and has fun. And so I thought it was kind of a cool reward, kind of a Christmas gift to him that he got the Hyperdrive bundle. So, yeah I thought it was cool. So the Hyperdrive bundle was cool. I think they spent the last 2 months programming it, though, which was really sad that was the programming they spent their time doing. You could tell they had been programming it, you know, like it wasn't just like
TB. We're so worried it's not going to work.
Yeah, they got a reskin of Lightside GOTB and a $100 pack. Those are the two pieces of content they've been working on for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
All right,
we're getting ready for Lightside GOTB. I'm just like. I'm just gonna go in there and take my beating like a man, Warrior. I'm just gonna go in there. I'm just gonna take the beating, and I'm just gonna accept it. You know, once you accept the beating, it just doesn't hurt anymore. I'm like, game.
One other thing is, I heard through the grapevine that there are people that are buying the Hyperdrive bundle and then just immediately requesting a refund and getting it.
You can do that. Yeah.
But I also heard that Capital Games is dropping the massive ban hammer on anyone that does that, and there's been a number of Whaley Whales that have a ridiculous amount of money invested in the game that have been banned already in high profile guilds. So I'm not going to throw names under the bus, but don't do that, you guys. If you want to see what it looks like, go watch my live stream or somebody else's live stream that opens it up. Don't buy it and do that. I fully assure you will get a ban because they're tired of people buying and then requesting a refund simply because you want to take advantage of that system. So,
well, that's hard to prove because some people do have buyer's remorse. You know, they buy something and, you know, like a car, and then they take it back the next day. I don't understand it myself, but you know, I mean, these are things.
The issue is everyone playing knows you can't roll back that.
Right. Yeah.
You buy $100 pack of crystals and you get buyer's remorse and want your $100 back. They can go into your account and roll it back. In fact, they can give you negative crystals if they want, sure. And then you can earn crystals for the next 6 months, and it will just pay back the negative balance that you spent. Or same thing with credits. Or you know, if they have a character you bought, they can literally go in and remove the shards. They can see where your response was or where you were at, you know, and dial things back. There's been people that accidentally deleted all their mods and then got a hold of them and they were able to like dial it back to before they deleted their mods.
Oh, sure.
I mean, or sold their mods. So they can do this stuff, but this pack is unique. It's something that is so complex and changes so many pieces of your game that if you're buying it and then just for issuing or trying to get a refund, for them, it's just worth them saying, nope, you're done, and then just banning you. But I will say one thing about Capital Games. I always like to give credit where credit's due, just as much as I like to give them a hard time about like the content or whatever. I do love to give them props. Went through Territory Wars this last time, and at the end of Territory Wars, got my reward. I clicked on it, and I got a error code 32 restart, and the whole thing restarted, and my rewards were there, and I restarted, and I was like, no big deal. So I went back in, and my rewards were missing. And I went to the currency because I was going to get a 7-star gas with this Territory War with the currency, and it was not in there, and I wasn't able to promote him, and I was just like, I was like, rah! Because they had already canceled the light side, and that was the reason why I didn't get him to 7-star. And so anyway, I got a hold of EA Help, which is no help at all, and I was arguing with them, and they were like, listen, we need to send you to like a Capital Games guy. And I was like, yeah, you do that. And they sent all the information to one of the developers at Capital Games, who then went into the game and looked at everything and was able to, in fact, identify that I did not get stuff, and then itemized everything from the payout and shipped it to me without question, like 2 hours later. And I was like, you know what? Props to them for taking the time out of their day to listen and let me be heard, find the rewards that were missing, and then ship those to me to allow me to get that which I should have got, which I didn't. So props to Capital Games for doing that. Be tenacious if you call EA and make sure that you get what you
they're
deserve.
Looking to get you off.
Don't rip them off though unnecessarily. But if you do, or if you are owed something, get it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that story is going to anger some people, Warrior.
Well, we've had a lot.
Not that you got your stuff back, but there's still people missing watch shards from TB like 3 weeks ago now.
It's pretty bad.
They still haven't fixed that from the last thing I saw, and I know people are still missing it. So I think it's a little unfortunate, but yeah, there's still people missing watch shards.
Yeah, I know. It's a priority thing, and I really hate to say this, and it angers me too, but they look at your account, and they have a level system on your account, and if your account you're spending, you get rated. Basically, like you're an A, a B, a C, a D, whatever. And if you don't spend, you're like an E or an F. And if you spend a lot, you're a B or an A. If you're a high priority, they'll do what they have to do to make you happy. If you're not a spender, you're on a low priority, they might offer you 200 crystals and tell you to have a nice day. And that's the end result, and that's all you'll ever get. So because on that account I am a spender, I do get a little more pull, and that's not because I'm Warrior. That's just because I'm a spender, and it doesn't always work. I mean, sometimes you get that person at EA that's just like from India or whatever, and they're just like, "Sorry, can't help you."
Why they gotta be from India?
Yeah, they're like, "What's the name of the Territory War?" I'm like, "Territory War." Like, there is no name. I mean, and they're numbered, but I don't know the freaking number.
Sir, I'm like, send it to the developers, please, because they can tell you it's the literal one that ended 40 minutes ago. Please send it to the developers. They can fix this. And he's like, okay, I will do those. So okay. It's like, whatever. Do it, please. Goodness. All right. We've got a lot of questions coming in, buddy. We want to just start rocking and rolling on these questions because they're coming in hot and heavy. I mean, they're coming in hot and heavy. I mean, they're sizzling. They're so hot.
Yeah, we can start. So, like Warrior,
hot magma.
So, Warrior, first question to you from Nathan H. He says, "What gear levels do you recommend for the Malak event?"
Good question. I'm actually prepping for the Malak event in my Scissorman account, and obviously, if you can get any of them into relics, man, that's going to help a lot, but it's unnecessary. I did Malak on my main account before relics ever existed, so you don't have to have any relics. So really, Gear 12 is kind of landing page for all of them, or, you really want to get them all to 12, but if you have a couple at 11, you can get away with that. In fact, I've especially, so there's light side and dark side. The light side one, your damage dealer mission and Zalbar, both of those two. Damage dealer mission needs to have as much offense, and when she gets to gear 12, she really is able to max out that offensive capability. Plus, you're able to put 60E mods on her, which you can take those offense mods up from 5 to 8% on primary stats, and so you really want to get mission up to 12. And then Zalbar, you really want to make him as fast as possible, and at 12 you can get him another like 20 speed, so 6, 6, and 8 on those 3 right pieces, and the speed for him so you can get as many armor shreds, and then also tankiness. And there's just the fact that he's at gear 12 makes him tankier, plus all the percentages and stuff. If you just load him down with a bunch of protection and stuff like that, he's going to just be able to handle the hits that he takes. Those two for that event are really what I would say the goal for him. Zalbar, I'm sorry, Jolie is also a great gear 12. Other than those are really the 3 I would say that you'd want for the light side. If Bastila is not, that's okay. If she's at 11, you're fine. And same thing, as long as she has her Zeta, so you make the threshold. And then same thing with Revan. Most people have Revan, though, at 12 because he's probably being used in their arena or whatever. But he could be under-geared as well. Even though he's a damage dealer, he's really more there for mechanics, for the mark, for the increase, for the timing and all that, because mission's really there for the damage. So really just Zalbar for durability, survivability, all of that, if you can, and then but mission and Zalbar. On the dark side of it, it's all of them could be at 11. The problem is at 11, a couple of them don't make the threshold. So Canderous Ordo, unfortunately, has to be at gear 12 for him to even participate, unless you're going to do his Zeta. And his Zeta, in my opinion, is not worth it. So you've got to take him to gear 12 or do the Zeta. So I just went to gear 12 with him. I spent forever on my free-to-play account trying to get him to gear 12. He's one of my few gear 12. I've got Carth Onassi at gear 11, and then HK and Bastila, I've got gear 11, and that'll work. They all of those would be optimal, obviously, at 12 or relics, because they're going to be used in arena probably, or going to be used, in other things. But the reason why you can have them under geared is because it actually only really has to do with Revan. If you have Darth Revan at gear 12, he can basically, as long as you let him do all the killing, he'll do all the killing. And every time he kills, he gets that buff. And every time he gets the buff, he gets stronger and stronger. And by the time he's got 5 or more of those buffs, he can just kill Darth Malak himself, even if you lose the rest of the team. So for me, I would say for the light side, Mission and Zalbar, gear 12. And on the dark side, I would say Revan and Canderous Ordo are really the 2 that you would want to gear 12 so you can play. Because Canderous is not, going to be available unless he's a gear 12 or the Zeta, and I don't know anyone. I still haven't put that Zeta on him.
I haven't either, and I never, probably a long time since until I do. And I beat the event the same way. And it's really, that event is more about just qualifying and understanding the mechanics. You hit them both. Like the dark side's easy because you just stack up like all those ferocities on Darth Revan. Then he's like, "Oh, other Revan, let me just one-shot you. Oh, you are dead." And you're like, "Hey, this is a pretty easy event." Then you get to the light side, and then you have to kind of manipulate it. You have to... It really comes
the dark side one, kind of, it's like you got to have them strong enough, they survive long enough that he's able to kill enough of those droids to get enough of those stacks. And you really want as many of them as possible, like 8 to 10 potentially, because then it makes it a lot easier when he tries to kill Malak.
Yeah, once he gets to 35, 40 is when he starts doing like crazy damage, right? So that's
right, because when he's at the minimalistic amounts of stacks, it's kind of like, ooh, you got to really have a high-powered Revan to make it. But so you kind of have to play it out and survive and just last as long as possible. And then when all your people are dead and you've got tons of stacks, you can win. And you don't have to get a 3-star right now anyway. It's just a matter of winning. The light side, like you said, is more about mechanics. But I will tell you that Mission the amount of damage output is critical on her to really be able to get her. Now, I will warn you guys, anyone listening, for anyone that takes mission up into relics and just goes crazy on offense and takes her to like relic 5 or 7, you will not be able to do the battle. You'll lose every time. Let me tell you why. Because she'll actually beat things too fast, too easy, and you won't be able. It actually requires you to take time killing stuff to have time to put the armor threads on him, because you really want 2 to 4 armor threads, 2 minimum, but 3 or 4 preferred on him, and you won't even get 2 armor shreds on him before she has literally killed everything on the board. That's how powerful she becomes in relics. So she's important and she's high in offense, but don't relic her for this event. Don't do that.
No,
she'll be too powerful.
You
can be
she's going a lot
powerful.
too. She's going to be feared, because if she's hitting Malak without an assist, she's going to be having that fear on her. You're like, oh my god, it's such a pain when that happens. All right, next question, Dr. Finn.
All right, next question is from Arthur Olevenstein, and I hope I'm saying that right. And welcome. I think that's a new name, so welcome, Arthur. Question is: other than Jedi Luke, who else do you believe would be considered for Galactic Legends?
Baby Yoda.
He would do nothing, but it would be adorable. The Warrior, what are your thoughts on other than Jedi Luke?
Honestly, I don't know, because looking backwards, they've hit most of the characters, and the characters they haven't hit are mostly obscure characters we would like to see, but aren't like legendary style characters, or they're non-canon characters. So yeah, we've already talked about Skywalker. So, and they were holding off on Mara Jade. Yeah, Mara Jade. But see, again, that's like dipping into, more obscurity. That there's a lot of people that would be like, Mara who? So I mean, I understand. Yeah, I understand, but I think there's a lot of potential for them to go like they did when they started. The first time they really dipped into that was when they went, a couple of years ago into Sith, and they brought in Scion and Nihilus, and they brought in the Triumvirate. That was awesome. So there's a huge potential now. Emperor Vitae, however you say his name, I think he would be one for sure, because he's like the Emperor, you know what I mean? And from that era would be, I mean, both of his sons would be, could definitely be journey characters or something. I don't know. So
let me ask you, so how do you define, so this is an interesting question too. How do you define Galactic Legends? Because there's a way of defining it in terms of how you acquire them in the game, right? And just giving it that title, versus are they Galactic Legends in the Star Wars universe? And if they're classifying Rey and Kylo as Galactic Legends, it seems hard not to classify like Yoda and Palpatine and Luke and Anakin all the way through his progression to Vader. Like those seem like they would be Galactic Legends, because their like storyline is actually more in-depth, in my opinion, than Rey and Kylo that they're defining as Galactic Legends at this point.
You have to remember, though, that this story, they're going to basically say that Kylo Ren is a blend of Sidious and Darth Vader and everything that has come before him spiritually blended into him, that he's the culmination of this spiritually dark character, and she is the culmination of all of the light side and everything that's come before her and all this light side energy. And that's kind of what they have been continually suggesting and pushing forth. And then they're going to somehow paint that somehow she's been just through the Force imbued with all of their previous strength, that when old Ben voluntarily died, he was giving up his Force back to the light side Force, which would in turn come back to the next user and make the next user even stronger. And she is this like end game for the light side, and he's that end game for the dark side. And so they are these like Galactic Legends. But I mean, for any of us purists, we're like, man, but I'm just saying where they're coming from. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like Galactic Legends, what does that even mean? It's just an arbitrary title. The game's given it so they can, basically make us farm 15 characters to Relic Tier 7.
All right. Next question.
All right. Warrior, I'll give you the next one here. What else 73 has a question and says, now that we have 10 first order, what will be the viability of the 2 teams, and who do you think will be getting any reworks of any of the current first order, like Phasma, for example?
Phasma. I don't think we're going to see any reworks on first order. Surprisingly,
I agree. They don't need
because Phasma actually is a turn meter master already. She's tanky, like really tanky, always has been. So she just kind of sits there and just speeds the team up, and she slows the opposing team down with speed down. Like she's already got basic mechanics down for like, you know, screwing the opposing team. And she is, like I said, she's thick. So she's harder to kill, and people don't care about her and worry about her when they're fighting a team anyway. They go after the damage dealers that they're going to hurt them. And then your pilots to date are still, nobody uses them, but they're amazing if you actually put them in a team. They're glass cannons, and there are other characters right now when you're building a singular team that are better because they're damage dealers like Fox that are very powerful, that are a little more durable because of the health steal and whatnot. So why would you use your first order, you know, TIE pilot? But when you start dividing them up into 2 teams, and you're now using a character such as, you know, the new Hux, you're on offense and you're manipulating the situation, and you're going to cherry pick how and what you do. So now bringing in someone like with Hux lead and bringing in the pilots is good, because now you get to determine how this is going to play out. So like, you wouldn't want those specific characters on defense, because the people are just going to walk in and, like, you know, specifically target those characters and kill them quickly. But for you on offense, you're going to be able to use their firepower to just wipe someone quickly off the board. And there's like, boop, they're dead. And then now it's a 5 versus 4. And then, you know, so it's all a turn meter situation. And I don't think anyone's ever really spent the time, other than maybe a few people in the first order Discord chat. And if there's anyone out there listening, they're probably like, you know, blasphemy. But I don't think there's many people out there that really use those pilots. But both of those pilots are solid. The newer one, the Special Forces guy, is really solid. I mean, his damage
on offense,
when you get him into relics, he calls assists and stuff. Like when you get him into relics, he's like, best way to describe him is, do you know, for the Night Sisters, the Spirit, how much kind of crazy, like 60 to 120k damage she does? That's him. He's like a spirit. If you want to have a mad damage dealer on the team that's kind of hard to get to, and you know, is smashing fools' faces, like that's him. So Special Forces guy is the real deal once you hit relics. So I don't know.
If we were to form, so if we were to form 2 teams where, let's say you had to do it, right? We're making Warrior put 2 teams together for first order with the new Sith Trooper and Hux. Who are you putting on which teams?
Well, so I think that because I would want like a massive offensive team, and I'd want to be able to turn meter manipulate, I would probably go Hux, first order officer, Sith Trooper, and then TIE pilot and Stormtrooper. And the reasons for TIE pilot, the Special Forces TIE pilot for damage, Sith Trooper, TIE pilot calls, assists, first order officer can turn meter swap, Hux turn meter swaps, first order Stormtrooper adds advantage up, and he's a tank, and you do need at least 1 tank for like the oh crap moment. And Sith Trooper has all those assists as well. But I just feel like with Hux as the leader, first order officer to kind of help out, then you would have the Special Forces Trooper, Stormtrooper, and Sith Trooper to kind of, you know, do the damage dealing mop up. Then for the other team, you're going to have Kylo Ren as the lead with Kylo by his side. Fox is the damage dealer. Captain Phasma is going to replace your first order officer as your like turn meter generator, and you have Kylo Ren for turn meter generation. The problem with this is now you're losing your first order officer who's super fast. So, you know, you could potentially swap first order officer and Captain Phasma and put Fu on defense and Captain Phasma on offense. I just feel like on offense, you need that jump, and it's really easy to get officer faster than other teams to make sure on offense you win. And then First Order TIE Pilot could be in there. He's just kind of a plug and play, fill in damage dealer, just kind of sitting there. He's not super tanky, but he's also not like a super glass cannon either. So you'd have multiple damage dealers in there. And if you had Captain Phasma on your defense team, she is again thick. So she'd be a little bit harder to kill. And so, Executioner's a little harder to kill. Phasma would be a little harder to kill. Kylo Ren and Kylo Ren are both difficult. So they'd be kind of forced to go after First Order TIE Pilot first, kind of clean him up, and then go after your others. On defense. It's not an optimal defensive team because honestly, if you put, like Hux, Kylo, Fox, and Sith Trooper, we're talking like MVP team. That team is just sucky. Could you imagine that? Or even like Hux, Fox, Unmasked, Trooper, and First Order Officer, something like that.
The team I was thinking about was the two Kylos. Fox, Sith Trooper.
I wouldn't even do Kylo Ren because Kylo Ren's turn meter is unnecessary and his damage isn't even that impressive. All he really does is just continuously feed turn meter to the team. But First Order Officer and Hux do that.
I like his AoE with the Retribution, and then he can also stun along with the other Kylos. So it's like double your pleasure, double your fun, stun everyone.
Yeah, he is durable, and when he starts getting low, he can always just regenerate all that protection as well too. But some sort of an MVP team like that, I don't know. When I see another First Order team, I get in there and I have to face one of these teams on defense. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be sucky. Yeah, it's not gonna be fun. And I'm sure the people I'm facing aren't gonna be thinking like I'm thinking. They're gonna be like, I'm not using First Order on offense. They're just gonna take the absolute 5 best and put them on defense, and that's what I'm going to face. And I'm sure it's going to be Hux lead with Kylo Ren unmasked as a tank, Sith Trooper in relics. I'm sure of it. It'll be relicked out. Single or double tapping me for 50,000 each shot. Executioner will be in there because why not? For your double damage. And then it'll be either First Order Officer or Kylo Ren for the turn meter. It depends on how fast they can get their Hux. If they can get their Hux really fast, they'll just ignore First Order Officer because they're very similar in kit design. Yeah. And if they can't, then they'll keep First Order Officer but if not, they'll just keep Hux in and keep Kylo Ren for the turn meter. It
gives you a lot of different ways you can go about it. All right, Dr. Finn, what's the next question there?
Okay, next question from Hermit Fulgrim says, question, since Gas is easily beaten by other Relic squads, is it worth the massive investment since his meta is most likely going to be over with Episode 9?
What? There's counters that counters everything. Well, you can back me up on this, but high Relic gases are a nightmare. Especially with the clones and stuff backing them up, especially once they get relics and all those bonuses start kicking in. They're pretty nasty. And I'll tell you this much, Gas on offense, especially once he's 7-starred and he's relic and stuff, can pretty much beat the living snot out of anything. Especially once you're controlling it. The thing on defense, sometimes the AI does some stupid stuff, but that's with any team. But I've seen a lot of footage of all the meta teams going after, fully relics, best mods teams going at it, and Gas prevails a lot more than you think. And I still don't think that the new Rey and Kylo are going to still be able. They'll be for me, they're going to be like Padme versus Darth Revan. Yeah, it can beat it on offense, but you still run the risk of getting your butt handed to you. What do you think?
You got to look at the big picture, right? So if we're talking strictly just dialing into arena only, if all you had was arena and you had relic 7s on your rebels and you didn't want to invest more, then why would you need to for Gas? But that's not the way it works, right? We have territory battles we have to have these characters for at basically relic 5 or above. Plus, we have territory wars where we have to set defense teams, preferably these teams, because they're the best defensive teams in the game. And then we have to have other teams that we can then go and defeat those very same teams from our competitors. So it's not even an option. You have to have the Padme teams at Relics or you've got to have the Rebels teams at Relics, and like, so even if it is beatable, what it requires, if you have it Relic, is it requires other people to Relic other teams. So it's not even about Relicing the same team, it's about forcing people to Relic other teams, because it forces the kind of comparable investment. And that's where it gets difficult, because the investment has to really be comparable. I'll tell you, if you go against somebody who has, all R7, or somebody that has like R3s, different night and day difference. Somebody who has proper modding versus improper modding, it's night and day difference. So, if you get Padme and people say, oh, it works really well. I mean, it depends on what are they going against. I mean, they're going against somebody that still has Gear 12 characters and only like 3 Relic characters. Is it all R7s? Is it all R7s with good modding? I mean, and even if it forced you to have to get a Relic 7 team to counter it. And so it forced investment on your end into another team. So for me personally, I thought for like a second, like a millisecond, the same thing. I'm like, man, I can't believe it. Like on my team or on my arena, I'm already having to beat 7-star gases every day. And I just got my 7-star gas this week, and I was like, well, should I even waste the time on relicking him? And I was like, oh, shut up, warrior. Of course I'm going to do that. I have to, because of, territory wars and Grand Arena and everything. Of course I'm going to do that for my own personal, Grand Arena championships and everything. Like, of course I want a 7-star Relic, because that's the best defensive team in the game. I literally can beat anything with it on a full auto without. I beat Padme on full auto. I can beat Darth Revan's on full auto. I can beat Night Sisters on full auto. I can beat Sith Empire, all Relic 7 on full auto. I don't even look at it. So hands down, it is the best team to have fully maxed out. Even if it can be beat, it's still the best team to have. And it's going to force everybody in Arena. It's going to force everyone in Grand Arena. It's going to force everyone in Territory to invest in those counter teams. And if they don't, they won't be able to beat you. So It kind of makes them keep up with the Joneses, which is part of the annoyance of the game, but part of your strategic advantage, or you're making sure that your competitors are at least keeping up with you.
Yeah, it's stupid how incredible he is on offense. It really is. I mean, we played around with him in all my GACs. Like, let's try to get Night Sisters smoked. Let's try to get, say, Relic out Bounty Hunter team smoked. You just go down the line. You're like, oh, let's try to against Grievous smoked. You're like, oh my god, it's not even fair. So, all right, next question, Dr. Finn.
Okay. Next question from Darkside on 1972. Oh. The question is, with Darkside TB canceled, what's everyone's plan for Lightside TB? My guild is not going back to Hoth.
Well, first I think you need the lube, and then just take it. Just take it. Just take that pain. Get those 6 stars and get those rewards. That's kind of my plan. What is your plan now that we've had our first taste of Lightside GOTB?
I don't know what Force Canada is going to do with my Scissorman account. I haven't looked yet. I'll try and take a look here in a second. I know that was a super frustration, so I don't know if we're going to even bother, because we were at like 2, almost 3 stars after 2 days, and I don't know if we feel like that's worth pursuing 5 or 6 stars, if that's going to be more than the star count we can get in the other one. I think not. Plus, I think just for like camaraderie and like mental stability for the guild, I think we will probably do Hoth. I'm not 100 on that, but for Maw, we're definitely going to go back into the Lightside GOTB. I'm interested to see if, I know they said they weren't going to fiddle faddle with it at all, but I'm interested to see if they did, just under the hood a little bit, just to kind of sort of fix some things that maybe were, things, because sometimes there's a little bit of tweaking that has to happen, but they don't really talk a whole lot about it. And then you see that information on the last update, and like the last update had a whole entire list of it. I don't know if you guys looked, but like there's like bug fixes, and and there was like 80 things listed, and a bunch of that was from GOTB. So I'm thinking that they were trying to fix a bunch of stuff from that maybe weren't working as intended. Some buffs that were, not dispelling and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I think that this next time around, hopefully it'll play through a little better. I don't expect it to be much easier because like they said, it's in-game content, and you got to remember there are new abilities potentially coming in, not for necessarily every character, but for certain characters. And there are new relic levels eventually going to be introduced. There are new characters that will introduce new abilities. So, and then like day one was difficult because it's just difficult. But then as you progress and start to fulfill those obligations of the platoons, it starts to ease the burden for the future days. Because like day two was easier than day one because the platooning on day one helped with day two. So I don't know. I'm not. Honestly, this is my biggest takeaway for them. Battles take too long. That was Darkside GOTB too. Mm-hmm. Like I used to love the territory battles. I really do enjoy the PvE content of this game. I enjoy the raids and things like that. But like the Sith raid was the first time that I found myself doing something for so long that I was like, oh my Lord, like this is too much time investment. And then they brought in the Darkside GOTB, and I've got battles. I've had literally 4 out of 4 battles that took like 18 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is one battle for 18 minutes. Like I'm investing over an hour into this game just for this one game mode, just in this one day, because they're like, it takes forever to get through the protection and health on these characters. And it's like, it's just not even fun. I mean, I'm just like smacking my head against the wall here. I wish that they didn't build it like that. I wish it wasn't just about like, hey, higher level, we're just going to put, 500,000 protection on these characters. Like, I don't know. That just seems kind of lazy, maybe programming wise. I don't know. It's just really, it's not that you can't beat it. It's just, it's super annoying because it takes so freaking long to get through. That's the part that I think bothers me the most, it's just the time investment just becomes longer and longer and longer, and the frustration level goes up. Not that it's harder, it's just frustrating time-wise.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I'm making a lot of sense.
No, you make perfect sense. All right, next question, Dr. Finn.
Okay. Next question from Kurtman. And good old Maurice, are you there?
I am.
Oh, he doesn't.
All right.
He doesn't sound like he's ready. Did you have coffee at good old Maurice?
No, I'm a little under the weather today.
You're always under the weather. Are you still suffering from last week's effects of over Dansitis? Yeah, you're suffering from the Dansitis.
I know Dansitis was a negative condition.
Yeah. Oh.
Dansitis gives me the smiles.
Oh.
It gave everyone the smiles.
All right, let's give good old Maurice a question.
All right. So good old Maurice, question to you from Kurtman, and the question is: after Relic 7ing, Anakin, Malak, Grievous, and Wampa, who would be the ideal next Relic 7 for a 4.4 million account?
So we got Grievous, we have Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the other two?
Malak and Wampa.
Malak. I guess a lot depends on. It sounds like you've got your team split up. I guess you could either make an R7 on a new team, maybe start getting your 501st ready if you have Skywalker, maybe R7 5s, maybe R7, maybe hold your relics. If you do have Skywalker, hold your relics to make sure as soon as you get Skywalker, year 13, you can take them all the way up. That's what I'm personally doing. You do the same thing for Watt. If you're close to getting Watt unlocked, he's a good one. I guess a lot depends without knowing your roster. It's hard to answer.
It is kind of
that particular question. Yeah, it sounds like you've got the. Trying to think of another good one that's good. Wampa's an interesting choice, very very good.
Han and Grandmaster Yoda would be right at the top of mine.
Grandmaster Yoda is actually a good suggestion now because he is a good 5th on the Padme team to help you counter. Mm-hmm. The Skywalkers, and as you can see in the light side territory, you guys just talked about it. Grandmaster Yoda is completely worthless at year 12. He dies instantly. So he'll help you. You'll need him for light side territory, but that's a good suggestion too.
Science. All right, next question.
Okay, next one I'll kind of open up to everyone, so all three of you guys can answer. The question is from Don Carlo. Which 15 characters do you suspect will be required for the upcoming Rey and Kylo?
Well, all the ones that are in there right now. And then more that we haven't seen yet, because I kind of was looking at the math on that. I'm like, I think there's like 11 resistance right now. So I think there's 4 more coming in that you're going to probably need. And then Darks, I think.
No, don't forget the possibility of ships.
Oh, I didn't think about ships. Do you think
you go ahead and bank? Hawks and Sith Trooper, 100%. You go ahead and bank on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the both are in there. So you're not getting, unless you spend some money, you're not, you ain't getting them. Because even with the 2 new characters for First Order, that puts them at what, 10? And if you need 15, it's like, okay, 5 more come in. I guess you can count ships, right? So what would the ships be? Kylo, for First Order, what? Kylo's command shuttle, Kylo's ship, Imperial Special Forces, First Order. What's the other one I'm missing? Those are the 4, right? For First Order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it means what? 1 more character you would need, or a ship for that. And then light side, I think it's 11 in the game right now. I'm actually checking to make sure I'm counting. Not counting ships. There's 11 characters. So either a combination of new characters, or unless we're counting resistance ship, Poe ship. I think those are the only 2 resistance ships, right? So at least
and Rey's Millennium Falcon.
The Millennium Falcon. But that still leaves.
Do you remember when Rey's Millennium Falcon was amazing, and then after that, like whatever, I can't remember what happened. They did something in it, like it. Oh yeah, ships 2.0. That was supposed to be so amazing afterwards, and it was trash. It sucked.
They ruined it for Warrior.
That was like the biggest, like for someone who likes ships like me, it was like the biggest disappointment. I played in beta, and Rey's ship beforehand was just okay, and then during the beta testing, Rey's ship was super overpowered. So once I launched the ships 2.0, I invested everything into Rey's ship because my testing showed that she was going to be strong. So I invested everything into her. She was a turd. They dialed all her stuff back to make sure she wasn't as strong as testing, which sucked. I was like, meh. So I'm hoping that they do something for that, because it's the Millennium freaking Falcon, man. I know it's not the Millennium Falcon that they wanted to be cool, but now that we got the cool Millennium Falcon, make a cool Resistance one.
2020, the year Warrior makes Rey's Millennium Falcon great again. I don't know what they're going to do, though. I mean, I don't know if they're going to actually include ships into this, or if they're going to introduce more characters because it is character driven. I don't know. I mean, let's say they don't add ships, well, then you need 5 more First Order. They're going to put in the Knights of Ren on top of the characters that they've already introduced to get Kylo. Are they going to add like a new Rey, a new Poe, stuff like that to the Resistance? To get to the 15. I mean, they could go in both directions, and I don't know what they're going to do. So I just know I'm not going to get her or him on the first time around, because I have all the other characters geared and stuff, and ships and stuff. I'm looking at the new characters up. I'm not spending hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars just for Kylo Ren. I'll wait till it comes out free to play.
Gotta get that Gear 13 Resistance pilot. Oh boy.
Talk about painful gearing. God, it's so bad. Oh, that's gonna hurt so bad to have to do that. And I think that mine's like 9 or 10 gear wise, and it's like, it's looking at it like, do I really want to do that? I haven't even put gear on Rose because I'm like, I just can't. It every time I even think about it, I feel a sensation of pain and suffering throughout the course of my body. Like, oh my God. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what's going to be the requirements before I have to do anything. If I don't have to do anything good on Marie's Warrior, I'm not doing it, especially on those characters. Good Lord. As much gear crunch as we have. Oh my God. Oh God. Oh, it's so bad. And then, oh, Jesus. All right. I think we beat this one to death. Dr. Finn, what else you got for us? Give us a happy question. Let's get a happy question going on.
Happy question.
It's your world, Finn. You can do anything you want. I'm screwed. Just give us the next question.
No, there is a happy question here. Apropos Woolen, question: what's everyone's favorite journey that they got to redo?
That's funny. I actually did do that. I don't know if everybody went back and played some of the events, but
no,
I
I
went back and
suffered PTSD from all those events where I didn't want to relive that.
No, not all of them. Come on now. And plus, your roster is a billion times better.
Warrior.
Warrior. What?
Did you not watch me suffer 9 hours through Thrawn, 15 hours through Gas? I mean, do I really need to go back to tell you the horror stories?
But your roster is a million times better than it was then when you did those events. So, well, not for all of them, but for some of them. And I'm not going to put myself through the nightmare of doing like a particular event. For example, like Lightside Malak. I don't care if I know how to do it. That's not necessarily fun. Even if you know what I mean? Or Gas. I wouldn't say either side is necessarily fun for me. they're both those three key events or sections of events are very, 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 very difficult. And even if you know how to do it, it's just I wouldn't chalk it up as fun. But I went back and played a number of events, and I didn't even go in and do like the whole event. I just picked like any event where I didn't get 3 stars and just replayed that level to get the 3 stars on. And there was a couple levels like the old Ben level in CLS to redo that cinematic moment. And one of BB-8's, I think round 5 in BB-8's, which was fun. A lot of the round 5s were kind of special because that was the unlock. So they redid the animation. If you go into round 5, they redid all the animations and stuff, so you can kind of relive that moment. And your teams by this time are significantly better. Plus, Tier 5 was never very difficult for most of the events anyway. So yeah, I went back and played a bunch of the events and had fun with them.
You know, I could get my revenge warrior. I could go back to that Chewie event with my incredible bounty hunters now and get my revenge for this 8 hours it took me to get Chewie.
You know what's hilarious is some people that went and played that. Some of my patrons went back to play that because they're like, yeah, my bounty hunters are badass now. I'm going to go back and play that and stomp him. And then they couldn't beat it.
Oh, no.
They beat it with like Gear 11, Gear 12 characters. And now they've got Gear 12, Gear 13 characters. And they couldn't beat the event. I was like, oh, just quit, dude. Don't make yourself mad.
No, that kind of gives my PTSD a little bit of a push back again. Okay, maybe I won't do that. Good on Maurice, did you go back and 3-star anything or relive the memories?
No, not a 1. But
you're like me.
But but saying that, it would be fun to go because Grandmaster Yoda's event was so long ago for us, and it was so difficult when it first came out. It'd be interesting to see just go in there, like kind of like you said for your bounty hunter, just go in there and just destroy it in 45 seconds. It would be kind of. I guarantee I didn't get 3-star a lot of the 7 stars. So
no.
I'll do it at some point.
Yeah,
it's not.
We'll have a day where me and good old Maurice and Ranger suffer through their issues and go back and 3-star some of these missions and stuff. All right, Dr. Finn, what do you got for us, buddy?
All right. So next question is from Sith Lord 72. And the question is: some are saying the Hyperdrive Bundle is good for new players, but without mods, they're going to get crushed in TW and GAC. As a veteran player, I'm glad I'm not tempted to buy this pack. What are your thoughts?
Well, so for a new player, you're still struggling through. I think if you're a brand new player or you've just started and you started working, the pack is really, really good. I mean, for what you get into it or get from it, it's great. And your mods are not going to be there anyway because you're just starting the game or you've been playing the game a couple of months, so you're still working on mods. As a veteran player, your modding situation should have no impact on whether this pack will be good for you or not, because if you're 4.4 million GP and you get this mainly for the gear, not for anything else, you're just doing it because you think the gear is worth getting. Your mods were your mods anyway. This is just to help you get some more characters to gear 12 and stuff. I would caution though that if you're going to be doing this and then getting, like, if you're a newer player, this pack on top of the other packs as you're going through and you're unlocking all these journey characters and you're flying your GP up, that's when the modding becomes an issue, right? because your mods are not keeping up with the level of characters that you're having, and as your GP flies up, that's when it's going to get you into trouble. This one pack alone, I don't think is going to significantly do anything to your modding situation. But if you're using this pack along with a bunch of other packs that you're using to get caught up and say try to do whatever you can to get it close to end game as possible, you're going to see the effects of it. I mean, if you go from 50 to 85 and you spend a fortune and you get these characters and you get a lot of them to like your 11 and 12 and a lot of your main ones like Jedi Revan, Darth Revan, you're going to have to understand that unless you are really focusing heavily on mods, and then on top of that getting good RNG, which is not something you say under the same breath with mods. Trust me, if you want to see the ratio, go watch Ranger on the lunch stream every day, do mods and get it's depression. So yeah, just be careful about that. I don't think this one pack's going to impact anything. You just have to make a value choice or value-based decision on the pack of its value to you. Does it do enough for you as a veteran player to augment what you're doing right now? I think as a newer player, though, I mean, you look at that pack, that's a ridiculously ton of stuff as a new player. It's not just the gear, it's the characters that you unlocked. It's a big deal. And then on top of that, all that energy and stuff, I mean, that really tremendously helps. So, but yeah, your mods are going to be in a separate category whether you get this one pack or not. I don't think that's going to be anything that's going to, like, you're all of a sudden going to get all these new characters as a new player and be like, oh no, your mods are not there anyway. So I wouldn't stress about it.
Well, if you do buy the pack, it does come with a quest line that rewards a lot of mod salvage, the relic materials.
There you go.
No, it doesn't. The mod, yes, the mod materials. The 6E components, the little red stapled buttons. It awards a lot of stuff like that as well after you buy the pack, which is something I'm surprised they didn't really highlight that at all. It's kind of like it's not secret because I just told you, but it's like a super. It just there's no announcement whatsoever that it comes with an additional quest line that gives you even more goodies. That I don't understand why they didn't even mention that in the commercial, the post, anything like that. So there is a quest line.
They wanted there to be some additional value.
Well, I just spoiled the fun for those that didn't know. There is a
Good Marine, spoiling fun in Galaxy Heroes since 2015.
You know what the most tempting reason for me right now is to buy this stupid pack? Because I'm pretty sure that stupid level 85 button on the side of my screen is going to remain there for the rest of my game if I don't buy that pack. I don't know how long it's gonna stay there, but that's like the most annoying thing right now.
Just staring at me.
It's a great value for newer and veteran players. Like I went through it and didn't even add the stuff. I went back and watched your video, Warrior, and saw like the achievement stuff, and it's crazy how much extra stuff you get with like the 75 extra like Carbonti mats and 75 extra black eyeballs, and you get the 10 Omegas, and it's like all kinds of things like Little Morris was just talking about. So yeah, I think even a veteran player, if you're someone that's like willing to spend $100, this is a huge benefit for veteran players too. You get like over like, so a vault is only like 15,710 crystals or something like that. Even with like some of the bonuses, it may reach 20,000. The pack, and then especially when you add the quest, but even if you don't add the quest line, probably like over 50,000 crystal worth of value that you have in that pack. So,
but yeah, you be careful with your mods, and the modding situation. We see this a lot in, I don't know how when you see this in Ross reviews, Warrior, when I see a lot of new and upcoming whales that are, really blitzing through, that have done the research and they're doing their stuff. I mean, we see it all the time that they've got these great rosters that have for all the characters already, but their modding situation is really, really difficult because they just can't, no matter what they do, they just cannot get the mods to keep up with the characters that they're relicking and using. So it makes their life a little difficult.
Yeah, that's kind of the side effect of this whole journey guide too. Like, they gave an unlock to the journey guide which allows you to do any and all events. The problem is let's say you've been waiting to do 3 of the events and you were almost ready, you were almost done with one, but you missed it because the characters are 7-star unlock. So you've been doing it, the last time it was here, you missed it. and then you're like, screw it, I'll get it next time around. So you set those characters aside because they virtually were ready, almost. And so you pull them out of favorites, you put a new team in favorites, and you're like, I'll put a couple pieces of gear in those characters, but they're basically ready for like Ewoks or something, or for bounty hunters or whatever. And then you move on and you keep going with another group, and then you get that characters up and for the next round, and then you almost get that character unlocked and you're like, dang it. And so you're like, I'll get that one the next time. Next thing you know, journey event opens up and you're like, I can do all of them. Well, you go and do all of them and you've got 3 new characters unlocked. Well, now you've got 3 characters you have to gear. You have 3 new teams you have to finish gearing, and the team is different than the team you used to get them. It's a totally new team. You may not have even farmed those characters. So now you've got an entire new team. So it's not just the character you unlock, but their team associated with that character and all the modding. I mean, like, modding at that point is like an afterthought. Like, you've got gear for 5 characters you now have to like come up with, and you just unlock 3 characters, which is cool, but now you got 15 characters to gear. Like, you're done for 7 months. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. So there's some cool aspects to the journey guide, but there's also some, like, again, there's got to be a priority list. You've got to continue to prioritize. People are like, oh, your farming guide's gone now. Oh. I'm like, no, not at all. Like, some people are going to have to be told what to do, because this is the deal. It's even more overwhelming now than it was before, because now you have access to all of it. There isn't any progression now. It's just like a free for all, and people are it's going to be pure chaos in the game. They're going to be running after this and realize they can't get it, and then run after that and realize, oh, that's a little too hard, and run after that, and it's going to be a mess. People are going to need to know what's stupid and what needs to be gone after. So, yeah, I don't know. It's got its pluses, but it's also got its minuses.
65 characters all waiting on Carbonis. You know,
yeah, and stun guns and stun cuffs. Oh my, oh my. All right, Dr. Finn. Next question. If you're talking, you're on.
There we go. No, I'm a good now. Okay, so the next question is from Kurtman.
I'm a Gundy.
Yeah, I'm a good now. All right. Next one is from Kurtman, and he says, did they fix the light side GOTB bug of the opening phases? And if so, are they still keeping the difficulty from phase 1 the same? Hopefully, and yes, there you go.
I mean, I'm just like, anybody else?
I mean, we haven't seen anything official from them. I don't think Good Old Maurice or Warrior saying that they fixed it. We're assuming that they fixed it based on the fact that they're releasing it again, but I didn't see anything specific to those points.
There was a whole bunch of fixes that were listed on the last update or whatever. I don't know if it was in that list of fixes. I scrolled very quickly through all the fixes, read like 4 of them, and was like, oh my God, they have fixed a lot of stuff. So you'd have to go back and read that post to see if it was included in that.
Yeah, I wouldn't plan on the actual difficulty of the matches itself changing at all. I think they were pretty firm with that. They weren't changing that. I think we might see some GP changes and what's needed for deployments and stuff. I think that is something they might have looked at, but not you're still going to go in there and get your ass kicked. That's going to happen to everybody. So,
all right. You know what? I'm going to ask you guys a question here. The question that's come up. We didn't have anyone ask it yet, but we didn't discuss it. Start with you, Good Old Maurice. What are your thoughts on the ability to gear 12 a 3-star Hawks?
I hate you.
Well, I think their response was the best. It's basically like, we're not gonna fix it. Just get over it. Basically, I guess.
Basically, just get over it.
I feel like if you can gear 12-1, you should be able to gear 12 all. You know, they should lift that restriction, and it is time. I don't think that would really hurt the game too much. I mean, there's gear 13, Relic 7 characters now. If you can put 60 mods on your 3-star characters, who cares? You know, who cares if you can put 60 mods on your 5-star Malak? It's not gonna. I don't know. I just think it was. I don't know. That's just the response was extremely lazy and Jawa-like, you know, just like well,
has some Jawa-esque qualities to it there.
Yeah.
I was a little perturbed. I was like, really? That's your response? Come on, man. But Warrior, what was your response?
Well, so I was excited to see it because I thought it was working as intended. I thought maybe in the latest update they had pulled the requirements for those pieces of gear to be needed, like for the rarity requirement. And I thought maybe they pulled the rarity requirement. And I thought, yeah, because of relics. And so they're finally updating the game to make sense, because they occasionally do that where they go, oh, that doesn't make any sense anymore, and they like lighten the load or they do this or that. Well, so I thought it was an update, so I was all pretty excited. I was like, great, I'm glad I didn't buy that character. I didn't need to, because I took him at least to gear 12. He should be usable-ish at gear 12, 3-star gear 12 or whatever, with decent mods and stuff. Plus you can put 60 mods, which means that basically you're just missing some relics, and that's fine. So I was like super excited, but then I went and looked at his gear and noticed that they had forgotten on that gear 12, on the gear 11 slots, to put any gear 12 or gear 11 finishers, like to get to gear 12. There was no pieces that required the rarity 7-star, and every character in history has had that. So it was the first time they built a character. So I thought, oh, okay, so this is what they're doing now. It's the piece is still requiring rarity 7-star, but they have just chosen to stop using those pieces for these characters, and they're going to allow them to go up to 7-star or to gear 12 without these pieces. But then they released Trooper with 2 of those pieces. And so it's like, nope. They just, whoever built his kit and built his gear from gear 8 and above, forgot to place one of those gear 11 pieces in there. And then once they found the community was taking up to gear 12, they were like, meh, who cares? Because the very next character fixed that. So obviously
We do need to add though.
Yeah.
They delayed the release of Hux by 4 hours in order to fix his gear. Literally, that's why they delayed it from like 2 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern, because they said that they had to fix something about his gear, and then this happened.
Right.
So
right. And I think
it's a whole mess.
I think there was more to that than meets the eye, but I do think that it didn't get fixed the way they thought, and I don't believe it was their intention at all, 0% chance, that they wanted him to be able to go to gear 12. That's the only character in history that's ever been able to go to gear 12 at less than 7 stars. I don't believe that was intentional, but I do believe once you release someone and you get a bunch of people with 3-star gear 12s, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? That if you try to roll back, especially because those are paying customers, it's not just an earned thing. It's a direct pay for situation where I paid for those, gear pieces, and I put them to gear 12 because you allowed it, kind of thing. I don't know. It's a nightmare. And I think they just played it off like, well, the stat increase isn't that much, so whatever. Like he needs, and this is the other deal. I think they build these characters now to require relics to really be viable. Honestly, I don't think that he at gear 12, at gear 11, he's complete trash. At gear 12, I wouldn't even hardly call him viable. I mean, he's barely viable. Maybe on offense, and if you use him against a very specific team with some really strong characters around him, but you really kind of have to have him reliced out for him to be what we would see as viable. So, and that's how they build the characters now, because they called the Sith Trooper a glass cannon, but then when you get him up into his relics, he's not a glass cannon at all. But like gear 11, he's like one hit, he's dead. So it's not really viable unless you spend a ton of money on him. I don't know.
All right.
Interestingly enough, on that, as soon as so you mentioned that about him not being all that great at gear 11, but a lot of people have been able to replicate what Arnold put out in his video about just having Hux in the 5th spot on a Darth Revan team just to stop gas from gaining the turn meter from Rex, and then he basically becomes a useless 5th afterwards. But that's pretty much sometimes all you need if you have otherwise equally geared Darth Revans. And then they came out with a post saying that they're looking into that and probably changing that one, because his Zeta is not working as intended, despite it working exactly as they wrote it.
And if anyone spent money on him, they are going to be able to get their money back if they request within 24 hours, because they're going to change the character that you bought the kit knowing what it was intended on. So you say, Hux gets to do X. I'm buying this Hux because of X. And then, but so this is the deal. This is why they said they're not going to fix it till next week, because next week you won't be able to get your money back. You won't.
Yeah.
It'll be over the 48-hour
from Google. From Google, Apple's a little different.
And then you'll have to request it to the developer, and the developers are not going to approve that, period. So you must, if you paid for it and you're pissed that they did that, you need to request your request now and let them roll it back now. No!
Come on!
You got to have them roll it back now, because if you wait until they fix them, it's going to be too late. And this is legitimately one of those times when you're like, if you bought them up to 7 stars because you're like, oh my god, I can throw them in Sith Empire and kill gas, and I don't even have to worry about it. If it's something they're going to roll back, you should just get if you're upset about that, you should just get your money back and let them go into your account and roll that back, because that I get they didn't see that, but like, who doesn't test the number 2 team against the number 1 team with the character? And I get he's first order, and I guess they were thinking who would stick first order with but why wouldn't we? Because we do that as a community, right? Especially turn meter manipulation. Like, that's Arena. That's all we do in Arena is try to figure out how to manipulate turn meter. I don't know.
All right. Next question.
All right. The next question I'll open up to everyone, because I don't know if you all are familiar with it. So Revinator asked the question, what are your thoughts on from Team Instinct Skywalker 76? So I'll just ask, are you guys familiar with what's happening with Skywalker 76?
Yep.
Okay. Maurice, are you familiar with it?
I think I know of a situation. I wasn't aware of the user's name, but I think so.
Okay. So I'll just give kind of a quick recap, and this isn't necessarily cast any aspersions on it. This is just what's posted on Reddit, and you guys can go ahead and see that. So Skywalker 76 from Team Instinct apparently has had a few people have put in some reports against him in GAC because people didn't think that he won what he did, and then they looked at, once GG brought up the list, some of the things were brought to light that seems more likely that he may or may not have been cheating. So there were some reports and everything in. I don't know how they got these screenshots. It's a little weird because there's only 2 people that would have had it. So unless Skywalker 76 was somehow posting it to everybody. But there is a post from Lucifer's daddy that's really bizarre as somebody that's enforcing this. And the response was basically, oh, I forgot. If in fact we find that there's nothing wrong and we release the account back to you, well, then it'll be a Merry Christmas, because I'll be comping you for the time lost, and I intend to go overboard on those things. So it's I tend to go overboard on those things. So it's a little bit of a weird response from the dev that's supposed to be like basically using the ban hammer. And again, there's nothing from Lucifer's daddy that I've seen on this, nothing from Skywalker 76 that I've seen on this thing. Right now it's just a bunch of rumors and a bunch of posts that are somewhat suspicious, but nothing in particular. But just in general, you don't have to comment necessarily specifically on this, but Warrior, what are your thoughts on just the way that it appears that they are handling some of these reports, and does it seem like they're taking it seriously enough, especially now that they're giving away like people's GAC secrets for it?
Well, SWGOH does a great job of scraping data, and for the record, the company originally didn't like it, Capital Games, and I asked them back at years ago, why don't you stop them? And they said they're too smart. We can't. We don't know how to. And they were like, it was one of those, if you can't beat them, join them. So they were like, their programmers are with the software they're using is just too intelligent. We can't overcome it, so SWGOH is going to be a thing. And so the game just had to kind of submit to the fact that SWGOH software is just superior to theirs, and that's how they were able to become a thing. That's why SWGOH exists, because they're superior to Capital Games engineering and software programming. So that's why they're there. So they just chose to kind of pair up with them and work with them. So that's the background. They have been now working with SWGOH for a while. This thing, the battle logs, have been requested by the consumers for a while now because of cheating and stuff. And Capital Games wants to do it, but why would they invest a ton of time into trying to figure this out when they have inferior technology to figure it out? It's a struggle. It's a lot of energy. I mean, it took them months to like build a Hyperdrive bundle. It's going to take them 6 months to a year to build an ability to scrape their own data when they know a company that scrapes data better than them. So they went ahead and allowed GG to do the data scraping, basically to take that project, the helm. It does twofold. One, it helps Capital Games because one of their projects that's on their list for kind of improvement of the game is taken on, but by another company. They don't even have to do it. So it improves the game for everybody, but they don't even have to pay anyone to do it. In fact, they might have comped SWGOH.gg, I don't know or not, but what it does do is drive the traffic guaranteed to SWGOH, which is being comped obviously by the traffic and advertising and stuff. So it's a win-win situation between the two companies. Now, the data they scrape, we know the ship's data is inaccurate. We don't know why. Because the ship's data is inaccurate, there's the ability for cheaters to say, well, the other data is not accurate because the ship's data is not accurate and that's not what happened. So there's kind of this plausible deniability that's allowed, unfortunately, for right now, because there is some inconsistency in reported versus actual. And that is a damn shame because they've rolled this out now with there being some inconsistencies. And so cheaters, not just in Team Instinct, but in other guilds, are able now to cheat and get caught and then plausible deniability and say, well, that's not how it ended. I didn't have full health and protection. I was nearly dead with all of them. I don't know why it's reporting the way they reported, but my ship's battle's wrong too. And then the developers are like, well, this guy has spent, $75,000 on the game and he's saying it didn't happen. So we're going to temporarily pull his account because it looks bad and the community would be pissed if we didn't. And then they're having this conversation in private, which is somehow getting public because people are idiots and talk about this stuff and share every screenshot with everyone because people are just that way. And the developers are very cozy with Team Instinct. In fact, there is a developer still in Team Instinct, still plays the game and is in Team Instinct. Like I know of at least one that still plays on Team Instinct and is still a developer. So anyway, and that's not, in my opinion, a normal or healthy relationship to have developers playing inside of a #1 guild. But anyway, they are giving him kind of the benefit of the doubt and saying, we're going to check into it. And if we find out that you were cheating, then we'll keep the permaban. But if we find out, that you're right and you weren't cheating, that we're going to shower you with gifts because you were a victim of a false narrative. So that's the text. It's basically saying, like, listen, if this is a false narrative, we'll get to the bottom of it and we're going to compensate you. Now, this is the problem. I don't know if Capital Games actually has enough material information on their end to be able to make a determination or not. If they do, then I'm confident they'll be able to figure this out, and I'm confident that they'll be able to ban him and he'll be gone. And I'm confident a lot of cheaters are going to have to really dial their cheating back significantly to the point that they might start actually losing battles because they're only able to cheat a tiny bit and not as much as they'd like as far as the damage control that they're adding, damage numbers and things like that. So it's a good thing. The other thing is I believe SWGOH's data poll, I believe it's 100% accurate. I do. Other than ships, I believe the other side, I believe is 100% accurate.
It is 100% accurate. It is.
I do. And I've looked at every battle I looked at was accurate to the T for every battle I did.
Same.
Every single battle was literally to the T perfect for every battle. For 6 battles documented, it was 100% perfect. And I've had a number of people tell me that that's exactly the same. So I don't believe for a second that the data that was pulled on his battles is incorrect. And when you look at his data, his battle data, it's physically impossible for him to have those battles and win in that way. He did not go against Sith Empire with turn meter generated and go in with a crappy undersized rebel team and not have any health and protection loss. It's a physical impossibility. It does not happen on this earth. It does not happen without an APK hack. It just doesn't. So you don't go in with undersized Ewoks and get full, a win with full health and protection against the team that he went against. Like, you start looking at his battle logs, and I think he's one of those guys that wants to try and hide the cheating. So what he does is, when he's playing in territory wars or whatever, he'll, make sure that certain battles he doesn't use it. So that way maybe he gets 18 points or whatever. So that way it looks like he's not cheating. Because if you have some losses that look normal and then some losses that look good, it kind of masks that. But the wins that are evident of cheating just prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. If we were in a court of law, that pool of data alone would be enough to convict. And they should be able to look at that data alone and say, you're a cheater, sorry, bro, no matter how much you spend. If they really care about cheating, it does not matter whether he spent $250,000, $500,000, it doesn't matter. He should be gone. And everyone at the highest level that's cheating, no matter how much investment, for the integrity of their game and the longevity of their game, for the new freshy whales that are coming in right now, they need to make sure they hold these guys all accountable for cheating. And even if they lose some key expensive whales, they need to do it for the sake of all the other dolphins and whales that are just starting the game, who will potentially spend that amount of money, but won't if they find out that the cheaters down the road are going to be just let off.
Or cheat themselves, or they can see that, hey, I spend money, I can get away with it. That's a worse, precedent to set than, even get, that's the worst part about it all, is that if it kind of leaves the mindset like, hey, you spend a lot of money, do what you want. That's the worst thing that could happen. That's kind of funny. Cheating and losing, like you mentioned about, if you're using APK hacks and losing Grand Arena battles, it's time to go ahead and hang it up. This game is not for you. That's crazy. I like the public shaming aspect of it. Even some of these guys in the top 50, you've seen it. We've all seen it. We all know who they are, but like, you can see that they earn their ranks by pretty much just coordinating, whether it be even in-game messages, their guild mates, whatever the case is, just kind of cheesing it up all the way to the top. We got a whole bunch of Barry Bonds in the top 50. They really should. They got top 50 with an asterisk now. It's not really. I don't know. I think this surprise, like, hey guys, it's out, surprise. I think it caught everybody off guard. And there's a sense of public shame now. I think a lot of players will be hesitant to, whether it be cheat, whether it be coordinate with their guild mates, their shard mates, whatever the case is. I think this will nip a lot of stuff just in the bud, just naturally. Which
well, some it's not going to. I mean, it's just not. I mean, some people, it's just because of their self-esteem or whatever the issue is of who they are as a person. Getting that recognition is something that they just have to have, right? And by any means necessary. It's for bragging rights or whatever their reason. It's not a good reason, but it's just that is their reason. And no matter what, especially if they've been getting away with it, they think they can still get away with it, right? Which I've never understood, but then again, I don't care to understand that kind of mentality, right? We joke all the time. I hit Kyber and win my battles. Someone asked me the other day, like, about like, would you listen to somebody that's like in the top of Kyber? I'm like, no, not necessarily. I mean, I look at someone like, and I even used you, good on Rios and too, and I'm like, if you're gonna follow somebody that and listen to somebody that does their battles right. They have legitimate teams. They go in and do it legitimately. And if they're winning and just getting into Kyber, that's who you should listen to more than someone that's necessarily going for the top. Not saying everybody at the top is doing nonsense, but just be careful about that. But the cheating aspect of this game, it's always been there. People are going to try to cheat. For some reason, they think that's what they have to do, or it's just part of their DNA. And like, if you want to do it that way for a game, it says a lot about your character. But I mean, you need to go home and rethink your life. Quit selling death sticks. Seriously, it's just a game, man. I mean, nobody gives a crap, like if you're Kyber or not. Like, when we do GAC, it's for fun and just theory craft and be goofy and have good old Marines get me raffle stomped by using Imperial Troopers against a team I have no business using Imperial Troopers on. But those are the kind of fun stuff. Like when I go in, like when we're having fun, like I'm going to win the match. So I go in there and I'm like, all right, we'll use Womp against the Jaws. Let's see what happens. And he got thermaled to death. He couldn't kill them all. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff you want to use it for. But some people, I mean, it's a thing. Like, it's a status thing. You know? And they'll do whatever it takes to get that status because they think people will, it gives them value. So it doesn't, folks. Nobody cares if you're Kyber. Nobody cares if you're top 50. They just don't. So just don't.
Nobody recognizes your accomplishment except yourself.
No,
there's a reason.
You do stuff for yourself. Like if you want to get Kyber, great, but do it the right way. I mean, I would be much prouder of the fact that I got Kyber and I did it the right way than if I cheated and got into the top 50.
I mean, there's a reason Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, these guys are not in the Hall of Fame.
Right,
you know,
they cheated.
Nobody recognizes their accomplishment because yes, it's got an asterisk. They cheated. Whatever the case is, it's just you're not fooling anybody by doing it. We can all see it now.
And then you look at people that are in the Hall of Fame, Ken Griffey Jr. and stuff. They didn't cheat, and so hopefully one day they'll be able to do it. But yeah. You're going to get caught, man. Cheaters always get caught, man. If you think you get away with it, you may get away with it for a while. But I've always believed in karma. If you do bad shit and you think you're getting away with it, you might. But in the end, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. And it's going to come back and bite you in the ass hard when you least expect it. Like, just randomly. So be cognizant of that fact. I've seen it over and over and over again. You want to be a piece of crap? Fine. You may get away with it a while and you may be successful, but I'm telling you, your reckoning will come every single time. And I always laugh when it happens. So, all right. I think we've covered that subject enough there, Dr. Finn Paul Bunyan, Medicine Woman.
All right. So next question
Surprised
is...
Finn didn't say anything. Like, yeah.
I mean, so part of it is the cheating aspect, right? And that's there. I have to say the response from Lucifer's daddy was a little surprising to me when I saw that, if that is his legitimate response.
A little casual, little like, hey, it's not a big of a deal. If we mess up here, take some goodies.
Yeah. And basically saying like, it'll be a Merry Christmas for you, and we'll be, and I tend to go like overboard on these things. Like I don't know. The cheating stuff always happens, and I looked at some of the stuff, and I have to say it looks like he was cheating if the stuff on GG is correct. And you guys can go in there and look at it for yourself. I think we had a lag spike or something when I was explaining it, but just as like a quick example, there's little things where he won by like 4 battles in these or 4 banners or something in the screenshot, and what you see is that he has 19 attempts on a Relic Dow Darth Revan team that has Darth Revan, HK, and Malak left. And then on the 20th attempt, he beats it somehow, right? So that was like the reason why this guy originally did it. But when you look at GG, you have some battles where he goes in against a Darth Revan team with a Jedi Knight Revan team, kills Fallen Bastila. So he has Darth Revan, HK, Malak, and Sith Marauder left. And then goes in with the team of Wedge, Big, Sabine, Sidious, and Savage, and beats the remaining Darth Revan team with perfect health and protection. And then it's kind of like,
with a turn meter? No way.
That's something isn't right here, right? And there's a few other instances of that if you actually go to the page and you look at the GG page where suddenly he's like maxing out on health and protection on some of these battles, and it's like I don't think something is right here. Like full health and protection Ewoks is not an easy thing to do. And there's like another battle where he goes against a Kira team with Ewoks and beats them, and that has a nest. It's like, I don't think this is right. So, I mean, it's up to CG. So it's not the cheaters necessarily. The cheaters will cheat, and that's what happens. But I was more taken aback by the response that was given by Lucifer's daddy here. And it again, if that is in fact the legitimate response for someone that is trying to come off as the banhammer, supposed to be like the person that is laying the law down, like you don't want to see, oh, well, I'll give you a Merry Christmas and give you stuff back. It just doesn't seem to fit what you're supposed to be doing. So that's where I'm coming from a little bit. The cheating is kind of, in my opinion, a little bit obvious, but you guys can go and look and make the decision for yourself.
All right. Next question.
Next question, Darkside 1972. Question, what's the best first order team to run now that Hux is in the game? Some people are saying not to Omega his specials as he loses advantage. What are your thoughts?
Whoops.
Good old Maurice. Did you do that?
Sure did. I'm pretty excited about Hux. I got a little excited. I didn't buy him or anything. I did buy the 1999. I got him 4-star. I got a little excited. Took him up as high as I could. Omega and all the bill. I did not put the Zeta on. I don't think Sith Trooper. He's probably not going to be too useful to you under geared and understarred. But that do keep in mind, we were looking at him on the stream the other night. Sith Trooper has a 300% physical damage modifier on his basic attack. And like we said, the stream, to put in perspective, Han Solo's is 185. That is pretty impressive. I haven't physically used him. Mine's like gear 3. But, just looking at his numbers, there's potential there for a lot of damage output, especially giving himself the crit immunity buff constantly over and over and over again. Every time he gets that, he will get health protection, regeneration if he's using the crew lead. He'll get turn meter if he's critting, like all sorts of benefits that he gets. I think he's a very, very good plug-in character. Hux, it is unfortunate, like you guys mentioned earlier, Hux had all sorts of ability with that Zeta, had all sorts of utility outside of a first order team. And I think if they are changing that, like Warrior said, you've got a case to maybe refund your money. Like that's one of the more obvious bait and switch of all time. Like that's pretty bad. But it will make I don't think it's going to make your first order team, no matter the composition. I don't think you're going to be in there beating General Skywalker. I don't think you'll be able to beat Darth Revan, but I think you'll be able to beat pretty much everything else. It does kind of, it could help you against CLS. I think there's potential there to beat CLS teams with your first order, potentially, or kind of make your teams less prone to defensively teams like CLS and some of these other assist heavy sort of turn meter thriving teams that you typically beat. Yeah, the teams, yes, the teams you typically beat first order with, because nobody uses their top teams to beat first order. You use kind of your secondary teams, and I think that will make them a little less prone and maybe get you a couple extra holds. Is it worth investing in these two characters immediately, buying the marquee packs? I don't think so. But long term, they are characters you probably want to work on. I don't think I really even answered the question, did I? Sorry.
I think you went through it. The Omegas thing, by the way, good old Maurice, at least in my opinion, right? The oppressive fire one is the one that I don't think you need, because what it does is you lose your advantage, but you remove the on Hux. You lose your advantage, but then you remove all buffs on your opponent, which is okay, but it's not all that. I don't know. It's a nice thing to have, but I don't think you necessarily need it. The other one, the devious scheme, that one, even though you lose advantage, what you do is you switch you give another first order ally the turn meter, and then reset all of his cooldowns, right? So that one is probably worth the Omegas in order to do and lose your advantage. So it depends on the ability that you're looking for too, as well as what you plan on doing with it. Like if you're planning on putting it on the Darth Revan team, I'll tell you right now, this isn't going to work on defense. The team just doesn't hold on defense. So whether or not you have an Omega or not is kind of irrelevant to some extent, because it's just going to die. So it's more for offensive ability, and then as long as you know not to use the special in order to remove the advantage, then you're fine. As long as he has advantage, then he gets everything from his unique that you hopefully have Zeta if that's what you're planning on doing.
All right, let me ask you guys the question. I haven't gotten a chance to try yet. Does his AoE dispel, like when he gets rid of all the buffs, is it like Asajj's where it will remove foresight and everything, or is it kind of like B2 where if they have foresight, it will just shed the foresight and just all the rest of the buffs will remain? Like, is it a dispel all?
It's supposed to dispel everything. So I didn't put the Omega on it, so I haven't been able to test it directly. But if I remember correctly, in the test event, that it did just remove everything. But I don't remember if a foresight was there, but it should remove foresight.
I remember mine it did.
Because it says it can't be evaded, but yeah, I don't know if the foresight.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know Warrior? I haven't tested that out for sure.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
That might be something we need to test, but okay. Next question from Dash Riprock. Question is, I heard that GK lead Jedi healers is good for light side Geo. What's the exact team comp and what gear level is needed?
Oh Lord, I'm going to you on that one, Warrior, because I have no idea.
General Kenobi lead.
Yeah, with a bunch of healers is what they're saying, Finn.
Yeah. I know the team that they're talking about.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would do that well only because of the damage output problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not all healers, so I think they're missing the team a little bit here. So the team turns out to be Kenobi, Lumi, then either Jedi Consular or Barriss, Snips, and then either Anakin or Grandmaster Yoda. So that's where your damage comes in. It's not a full healer team. I think that's where there's a little confusion.
Okay. So you got, and you're supposing a bunch of Zetas also, like on Barisafi for the heal.
Yep.
And
and high relics and all of that.
Right, and then of course General Kenobi's lead with the extra defensive stuff. So I don't know. The possibility is there to be a little more durable, and I think that you have to have that, especially the healing and the extra durability. You could also go Bastila lead for the extra bonus protection, although that's a temporal thing versus General Kenobi is more of a permanent fix. I've had Barriss in a couple of teams, like my Padme team, even with all of that crazy bonus protection that's regenerative nonstop, and I was able to go on day 1 2 for 4, and then on day 2 3 for 4, and that was a solid team. But it also required some of the same characters you're talking about. So I don't know if I would sacrifice Padme team for this. That's my opinion. I don't know. You'd have to parse that out. She would probably not even get through this round.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem, because the post that was on Reddit last week at the in Lightside GOTB. First off, by the way, it was we only really got access to phase 1 and 2, right? So we don't even know what this is going to work out in 3 and 4. But this was said to be a 4 out of 4 in the first 2 phases. So we obviously don't know the other ones. We can test it out here. But yeah, to the Warrior's point,
if it got 4 out of 4, it's true. But if it did get 4 out of 4, if you could actually replicate that, that's a lot of points. If everybody could do that, and you could focus down one specific territory and get a lot of points, and then have everybody just drop their roster in the other one and earn in one section and then drop in the other section and maximize points that way. It's not a bad idea if it's replicatable. The problem is if it's replicatable.
Yeah, what are the relics
Padme's
too?
already. Yeah, and then what are the relics and stuff? I know that like Barriss was the first one to die in my Padme team, and she's the one that's like, she's 120,000 health. Is Padme with a Zeta, 120,000 health? Are you kidding me? And she died. She was the first one to die. She was like, oh, bye. So yeah, I don't know. It was just like, so yeah, I don't know. I would like to see more info on that. That would be an interesting comp. If you could get 4 out of 4 for the whole team, boy, that would be really powerful for this as far as maxing those stars.
Pretty sexy.
Well, Warrior mentioned earlier the battle take 18 minutes. I'm going to take the way over on this one. Like you're asking, if you can replicate it, I mean, you're looking at a long battle.
Like a 36-minute battle.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Like, Warrior, you've been in there pooping a long time. You all right, buddy? Yeah, I need about 20 more minutes.
I put the Reddit post that I think this question originated from. I put it in the chat for you guys, so you guys can check it out. With what's the name? The Chadley. So he made this post and said that what the team he used, and he kind of goes through a lot of detail. In some of the responses, you'll see that it does need to be high relic. It's not something you can just do like Relic 4 and stuff. People were failing with that. So it's definitely a high relic team to run.
All right.
Okay. Next question. Give this one to Warrior from Jacob Ward. Question is, CG is reaching out to new players with the Journey Guide. Do you think they would ever add all the old Marquees to the Journey Guide so new players don't start so far behind?
They could, but I don't think they would. for a couple of reasons. The Journey Guide was designed to be a collection of the most iconic characters, which were all of the characters that are currently in there. So that's not all the Marquees. 2, Marquee events it's a special way of launching a character into the game and giving everybody a small farming boost because you're in the game at the time. It's a perk for being here the time the character's launched. But you get like 50 shards. You can farm 50 shards for a character in like 3 to 5 days. So they're just giving you like basically a 3 to 4 day head start with an event because, congratulations, you're in the game playing. So I don't see them going through any kind of effort to put those events in to help individuals get a character, speed up the progression by 3 to 5 days. This is just a lot of work to add all of that. I personally think it would be cool because, again, they put a lot of energy into all these Marquees, and there's no replayability. So it would be cool to not just have a journey guide, but to have like different levels, like journey guide for legendaries, journey guide for epic confrontations, and journey guide for like Marquees or whatever, and have subtitles for each type of event. I think that would be cool, but I don't believe that will ever happen.
Okay. Next question then for good old Maurice. Question from Jason Coonan. And he says, question, with CG dropping more capital ships, do you see them adding to GAC requiring 2 spots for defense for ships?
Because I'm rather sadistic at times, I hope so, because that would be cool. Yeah. But I think you could give us all the capital ships. I think we still need a few more ships, like regular ships, maybe to make that happen. Because you have to have 2 capital ships on defense. That means you have to have at least 2 on offense. You're talking full 4 fleets, 4 full fleets of what's that? 7, 14, 28 ships. I guess it's feasible. Now that I just said it out loud, I mean, there are 28 ships to use. A lot of them are not good, but I think at the higher GPs you can possibly see it. I don't think if you guys are in Division 2, Division 3, Division 4, you have anything to worry about. That'd be bad. But I think maybe potentially in Division 1, if they do expand the divisions, which they probably need to do at this point. Division 1 is extremely large, and you did a stream the other day, Finn, kind of showing all the GP goofiness going on with the ships. I think that's potentially for Division 1, I guess, is my short answer.
Yeah, don't even get me started on this whole GP mess, because that just angers me from just being even a basic computer programmer. This is just awful.
Yeah, we all heard and saw all your emotions while you were looking at it live. You were astonished.
Yeah, I can't believe they code this way. This is awful. Just I don't understand it. All right. All right, next question. Warrior from Wolffell. And the question is, they fixed the ship GP changing in arena. Oh god, it really is that question. Okay. Question. They fixed the ship GP changing in arena, but haven't fixed the GP difference on the stats page and character screen. How many people may not know about this and get bumped up a division in GAC?
Yeah, so there is that variant and it really ticks everybody off, because in their stats page it's showing about, well, it depends on how far you are, but anywhere from 100,000 to 300,000 more GP. But then in your character screen it's obviously lower, and it's that ship's variant. And so they can fix a GP thing, that's fine, but there should be some congruency within. They should go in and fix all of it to where everything is consistent, so people aren't having multiple GPs that are variant. I don't know what's going to happen, because I don't know which GP is going to be actually utilized, the one that's on your stats page, which probably is the case, or the one that's actually showing under your character progression screen. I don't know which one they're actually going to use. My guess is the one that's on your stats page is the one that's reflecting the new change in GP with the ships. But
can I give you an update, Warrior? Can I give you an update?
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So So when this happened, right, I had my GP on the stats page and the GP on the character stuff, right? And we kind of went through and found that it was all just ship GP. Well, I increased my character GP once I got Hux. My stats page GP, total GP remained exactly the same. My character GP went up and my ship GP stayed the same. But my character page, when you look at the total GP there, that went up. So now I have 4 different numbers, none of which add up to each other. So there's the total GP on the characters page that doesn't add up to my characters and my ships. The stats page total that doesn't match up to the characters of the ship. The characters that's increasing, and then the ships that doesn't seem to be correct. So I actually think it's the characters tab that's actually the correct one, because that's the only one that increased as a result of me leveling up Hux when I was watching it. But it's bizarre.
I believe that character tab is reflective of proper GP. I believe your stats tab is wrong, but I'm afraid they're going to use a stats tab for Grand Arena.
Which would suck, because then if you increase your GP, it's not changing.
Right. Or it shows higher than you really are, and you're getting bumped into another tier that you really shouldn't be in. For example, my Scissor Man is like 2.7, but I'm almost 3.1 on my character stat page, but I've never been over 2.7. So I could be potentially in a new tier this next Grand Arena, all because of their stupidity, and have to face people that have 400K more GP than me. And that is a massive difference. That's like an extra 4 teams, or the teams that I'm using completely maxed out versus mine being at gear level 10 and 11. You know what I mean? Like that's the difference between winning some and losing every single battle. So it's a huge 400,000 GP is redonkulous. They have got to fix that, but it is a new problem. And I did notice it after the last change. I actually posted it on Twitter that it was all messed up, and people have been talking about it on Facebook too. I honestly don't know what their thoughts on it. And this is one of those things where you got to get out in front of it. Like if they would have just post on the forums and say, we're aware of it, we're addressing it, and this is the number we're going to try and pull or whatever. Like, but they don't do that. The communication is only when they want to communicate, sadly.
Well, I don't understand why they did it in the first place. I don't understand not even understand why they started tinkering with it. Like, I don't get it.
No, it's a misalignment. It's not something they wanted. Yeah. It's just the game's broken. It literally broke, and they have not addressed that it's broken. And it's from the last update. It's the same time the Journey Guide got introduced. Now, the Journey Guide is not directly responsible for it. Like, if you buy the Journey Guide, it's not because of that. And because like one account I did not buy the Journey Guide with, and it's all messed up. And the other account I bought the Journey Guide, and it's all messed up. So it's not the Journey Guide, because you can buy it and not buy it, and it's still your GP's all screwed up. It's the game's broken, and they're not acknowledging this very important thing. Like, they've made everything about GP broken. How GP is being calculated currently in the game, it's showing, like, to his point, 4 different places, 4 different numbers, and it's like, but there's nothing on the forums about it, and they're not even acknowledging that it's a problem. And it's like arguably one of the most important things they've got to fix right now.
Here's the one thing though, Warrior, that I'm not sure about. I'm not sure that the ship GP change isn't something that they were planning that got pushed into the live environment too early. And the only reason I'm saying that is because remember when we were looking at all the GP that you needed, especially for ships in Lightside GOTB, I'm wondering if they are working on a way to recalculate our current ships in order to inflate what it currently is, and then be able to reach even the minimum amount of like 6 million ship GP to get the like maximum stars in the ship zones in like 6 months and whatnot. Because with the current calculations, maybe it's just not feasible with what ships they have planned down the line. So that was my. But part of me is also thinking like this is their way of trying to correct the GP discrepancy in Lightside GOTB, especially in ships.
What it all comes down to, folks, is we blame Finn.
Well, I mean, it's not wrong.
Way to go, Finn. You broke the game again.
All right. So we have 2 more questions or 3 more questions, and then we have a couple of fun questions, and we'll wrap it up here.
Okay.
So next question from Acheron. He says, why are you all crying about how hard it will be for the Hyperdrive Whales to get gear and mods? If they're going to whale on that, they can whale out on mod and gears too. But I don't think we were crying about it, right?
Yeah, but mods is a whole different animal. Mods is a whole
I haven't shed any tears.
Different animal. Like what we're saying is, you could spend a fortune on gear and characters and get the value out of it because you get the gear tiers. It's there. It's locked in. Mods, you could spend a fortune on this game and get nothing. I mean nothing. And when we're talking about mods that are not 19 speed or higher or have certain stats on them, it's kind of where you need to be for the upper echelon for some of these teams, where you're talking about Arena, GAC, TW. Like, the reason I win a lot of my GAC is not because I face people that have 300,000 GP, more GP than me. They have more Relic characters and stuff, but their mods are nowhere near the level that mine are at. And you know, and Good Marines, we talk about this all the time. This game's about mods. You can have all the Relic characters you want, but if you don't have the mods to go with those characters at that top tier, especially when you start moving up in GP, you're not doing anything. So, and the thing about mods is it's RNG. You can spend $10,000 and most likely not end up with all the mods that you need. It is that RNG with mods, and the RNG
you could be
factors
magnificently mediocre.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I'll just add this here because I got to take a phone call in a second here, but I'll just add really quick that I think the biggest thing is that if a newer player, even if they're a Hyperdrive new player whale, right? If they don't understand that just buying this pack, while it'll let them dominate in squad arena for a while because they're just going to out level the rest of their arena shard, since the other ones are probably still like 24, right? And they're hitting level 80 or 85, that they might dominate there, but then in things like GAC, where you're now matched up with your GP and you're going to be mod deficient, it's just more of just making sure that they're educated on the fact that the Hyperdrive Whale bundle, whatever you want to call it, while it gets you to a higher point, isn't the be-all, end-all to be competitive just because you're spending that way. And I think it's more just informing anyone that may be buying. So.
Yeah, I don't think it was crying. I think it was us trying to preach a little caution, like, hey guys, this isn't everything you need in this pack. Like, I think it was more kind of, I don't know, preaching a little caution. I guess I wasn't. I mean, I didn't shed any tears. You know, I don't know. Just
yeah. Fan. And
yeah, I've already said I felt the pack was a good deal for anybody who spends money. If you spend money in this game, buy it, even if you don't need the characters. Like, even the Whaley Whales could benefit from it. If you had a pack right now in the game that had 15 Zeta pieces and it was $99.99, they would sell the hell out of those to whales. It just would happen. It's crazy, but it would happen. And this pack gives you 15 Zetas. So everything else is just an afterthought. All that gear can be reliced out, can be burned for relics. There is so many additional things. There's so much, hundreds and hundreds of pieces of really phenomenal gear that you need. It's well worth it. If you were ever going to spend money in the game, ever, this is the piece of gear or the thing you would buy. But I wouldn't buy it for me, in fact, I wouldn't actually buy it as a new player to boost myself. I would buy it as an existing player to just tack a bunch of crap that I want to stock up on as like a gear boost, not as a new player boost. It actually, as a new player, would put you at a severe disadvantage, in my opinion, other than just basic arena, because in basic arena, it'll jump you into instant arena and you'll be thrown into a shard that day. And that day you're going to have a bunch of people with like 1-star ships and you're going to have 5-star ships. So you're going to be able to go into number 1 in that arena on both arenas. But the real whales are going to spend a lot of money, get the right characters. And so it's not like a temporary fix. You can't just like buy this and like be good. You're going to have to continue to spend. And mods, there's nothing in there really for mods. You're just going to be screwed. So it's more of you're buying it as a massive gear boost. And if you're new, it'll give you some characters you need as well. So it's worth it if you spend money, but if you don't spend money, you don't need it at all. You can do this natural progression, no problem.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, back. Okay.
Yep, I'm back. I put the question in there just in case. But yeah, next question from Kane77. What is the best clone lineup? gas plus other clones.
Yeah, there you go. Now, if you don't have gas, I mean, you can go with a little bit of other stuff for the 4 clones of the 501st. I mean, I don't know how you feel, Good Maurice and Warrior, but Cody and Sergeant are poop. Especially when you look at the
I'll give credit to good old Maurice because he mentioned this team, and I really do love this team without gas, and it's the Rex lead R2 Xeris Echo 5s team.
That's a nice team.
I really like that team, especially for GAC defense. I think that one works out really well for anyone that doesn't have gas. And then, of course, gas is going to be a little bit different because I think gas is pretty much set with the clones at this point. But.
I mean, offense with Shock T in the 4-501st is really good. You can kind of supplement snips in there, too. I mean, there's a few ways you can go about using them. I mean, any teams that you like, Warrior, outside of gas, to say you don't have gas, Warrior, what would you run?
Yeah, so my favorite team was Shock T, the 501st, the 3, 5s, Echo, and Rex, and then Jedi Knight Anakin. That's a good one. I used that to go against. Yeah, it killed everything except for gas teams. I used that in Arena for months just recently to kill all the Darth Revans, just as something different because I wanted to kill Darth Revan without using Darth Revan, and it was fun. I mean, I lost 1 or 2 characters every time, but it was just a fun team to climb every day with and do battles with. So that was my favorite.
Well, that's a great team too because it's not super like mod intensive. Like you just need to have your Rex fast enough to beat a Darth Revan. You can do that at 280, 290 Rex. So, I mean, it's a good counter to the Darth Revans without needing all of your very, very best speed mods. I like that team as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Anakin, just make him a damage dealer like you would, and then he gets mad and he just destroys the opposing team.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. I mean, especially on offense, Shock T and the 4 clones, especially with Arc Trooper now, the nasty combination on offense. You can really do some damage to some teams with that because they just the way the team's built. So there's ways you can go about it. There's like 3 or 4 teams we mentioned. So yeah.
Okay. And last serious question, give this one to Warrior. Remember, Jedi asks, what is the best starting lineup and reinforcement group for a rebel fleet going up against Negotiator and Malevolence?
So both of those teams, rebel fleets, obviously it's going to be the Akbar, and you're going to have, in my opinion, you would have Houndstooth in the front, Han's Millennium Falcon and Biston, and you're going to have to relic Biston and the Millennium Falcon because of the damage and speed you're going to need. As far as the backup and stuff, I would go, Rebels. Most people are going to be using, like Cassian, Phantom 2, Cassian's U-Wing. You could also have Ghost or Biggs. A lot of people will put in Biggs instead of Houndstooth, just for the Rebel synergy. The reason why I use Houndstooth is because when you get the calls to assist with Rebels, it won't call Biggs. You don't necessarily want it to call Biggs. You want it to call Biston because Biston and Relics do a ton of damage, and that's what you're looking for, is for it to call the assist with Biggs and get the extra damage. It does not work so well anymore, even with Relics, against maxed out Negotiators, because maxed out Negotiators are now 1 speed faster than maxed out Rebels, so it's very difficult. It was a very good counter when everyone was developing. Now that it's maxed, it's a very difficult counter. In Territory Wars, some of the best things to do is to send in a junk team to have them use all their abilities and kill your team fast and get all their abilities on cooldown off, and then send your team in and mop it up easy for just the 15 or 17 point win or whatever it is on your second try or whatever. So, and in regular Arena, it's very difficult. Now, it is easier with this team to actually beat the up and coming Grievous ships because they're more offensive in nature, and there's, with Akbar ship and Millennium Falcon, there's a lot of AoE potential, and those little side robots are the ones that once they start going, they can do a lot of damage real quick, but they get cleaned really easily with these AoEs. They get destroyed pretty quickly while you're concentrating down on the other ships, and there's just not enough of those ships to worry about anyway. But you can still cut through them pretty good with this team. But the Rebels win maxed versus the Negotiator win maxed is it's kind of difficult. It really is. It's a pretty difficult match now.
Yes.
For anyone who's using Biggs in the starting lineup instead of Houndstooth, you really should probably go R7 on your Biggs, and then you'll probably win. But that's a huge investment to R7 a Biggs. Mm-hmm. At that point, you need to be using him everywhere.
Save the wiggle.
You could use Biggs to 60 better Darth Revan. So there you go.
Oh
yeah, full health protection.
Full health protection. Yeah.
All right. All right. So fun questions here. We'll rapid fire them. What else? 73 says, once Finn relics up his rose, can we see how they do in a battle against other relic characters other people didn't relic up for charity?
That's just mean.
No, we'll do it in April. In April, when we meet up, I will do arena battles with different rose teams for people, for anyone with the wristband as one of the special videos.
That's not nice.
We're gonna do special live streams for anyone that has a wristband.
Yep.
We'll mail out the link and everything to them. So, yeah, that can be a special stream for that. Revenator question: who is seeing Rise of Skywalker opening night?
Not me.
I'm seeing it second night.
Yeah, I don't watch the first weekend. I always go the second weekend.
Same.
Warrior has the whole movie theater.
I know, right? And he didn't invite us. Stupid Warrior.
So I'm going Friday night, which is the second night with two buddies, and then I'm going Sunday with the whole theater.
There you go. Okay, next question. Revenator. Is the reason CG made Hux able to go to Gear 12 at 3 stars supposed to be a joke, just like The Last Jedi made him?
All right. Okay. All right. We're not going to do this. All right. A little low blow there. All right. Go on.
All right. And then last question from Grande Verga for you, Warrior. It said, does Boomer Warrior not know about live chat replay? I keep watching his last story time and it's hilarious.
Oh, I didn't know
Warrior,
you guys
do you
could
know
watch...
about live chat replay?
No, can you watch the live stream chat?
Yeah, you can.
Back later on?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm such a boomer. Oh my god, that's hilarious. They're so inappropriate in my chat.
Wait. Are you dicking around right now, Warrior, or did you really not know that?
I'm just sure I knew, and I'm just sticking around.
Oh my god. How can you be like incredible?
Dude, I don't know anything. I've taught myself everything. I
know you know so much. How can you be so knowledgeable?
No, I don't. I don't know anything, bro.
Get the piss out of here.
Seriously. Nope, I don't know anything. You guys have no idea.
Boomer Warrior, Boomer Warrior, Boomer Warrior,
across all this
Boomer.
stuff, trying to figure it out. I know. I gotta go get on my my horse outside.
No. Oh no!
Get onto my buffalo.
Oh god!
I didn't know there was a live stream chat replay. That's cool.
That's amazing. Like one of the best YouTubers we have.
I thought that was during live stream only.
No.
Interesting.
So the live stream is there. Then as soon as your stream finishes, it says that the chat is disabled for about like half an hour or whatever long it takes to process. And as soon as it's processed, then live chat replay is available to everyone.
Interesting. Cool.
There you go. And that's it for questions.
That's the best thing ever. Best day ever.
Thanks, Grande. Very nice. Appreciate that.
You put a lot of horseshoe radish
sauce.
Well,
he knows because of what I said on the last live stream. I was like, well, that's too bad. Everybody's not going to be able to see those comments anymore or whatever. And he's probably like, what?
What are you
what's he talking about?
Oh, God. The more you know. Do 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 do.
I know, right?
Oh, all right. We've reached the end of the stream where those are all the time for questions we have. We did get your question. That's okay. We do this every Saturday from 10 to 12. We do a lot of streaming during the week. You can always pop your questions in our Discord. We're more than welcome to message me or Finn. We'll be more glad than any of these guys that are on the panels and gals. I'm more than glad to help you out. That's what we do for the community. But it's this time we allow our wonderful panelists to pimp their stuff. So we'll start with Boomer. Boomer, where can folks check you out at?
Of course, Warrior Presents and Warriors Roster Reviews on YouTube. On Twitter quite a bit. I do a ton of daily updates with my Scissorman account on that Twitter account, and it's at Warrior Present there. And then I'm on the Facebook page as well, a bunch, chatting and stuff in there as well. So, yeah.
There you go.
Catch me out there in the wild.
You don't search for Boomer. That's going to give you something totally different. Don't do it.
No, I'm actually too old. I'm too young to be a Boomer, but you can call me Boomer. It's all good.
Well, it could be like a redneck thing. Hey there, Boomer. What you been doing up there, up in the mountains and stuff? And be like, well, I've been learning about that YouTubes. And didn't know if you knew there's there, Ranger, but you can get in there and look at the chat again. Boy, I'll tell you what. Speaking of someone that's a boomer, good old Maurice.
Hello.
Where can folks check out you and the lovely Captain T Money?
We are Operation Metaverse. We stream Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. We also have been cranking out some videos recently. We probably put out more videos the last 2 weeks than we have in the past 6 months. So we're on the video train. I'm working on one. She's working on another currently. So we should have a couple more the next, 7 to 10 business days. So yes. Thank you guys for having me. Apologies about being tardy this morning. I could not get out of bed, but I'm glad I did. This has helped me. This has helped me get going.
That's
right. A little better already. So.
Did you know about live chat replay, good old Maurice?
Yes. Only because either T Money or I have said something inappropriate in the chat. We try to go back and maybe try to see if we can scrub it out.
It doesn't quite work that way there.
No, it does not. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Once you have said it, forever shall it be known.
Yes, indeed.
All right. And then for us, you're watching this here on Reality Skewed Gamers. You guys know the deal. Jedi Academy, blah, blah, blah. We do a lot of streaming, things of that nature. You guys know all about us, what we're doing, working on HDS, Patreon. But do me a favor, folks. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And do me a favor. Check out these other great content creators. They take the time out of their schedule to be here on a Saturday morning to be here to answer your Star Wars Galaxy Heroes questions. So if you could do me a favor, check out Operation Metaverse, check out Warrior, check out Jedi Master Dasha, check out the Alliance stream on Sundays with Remon. I mean, there's so many good content creators out there. I can't list them all. Find the ones you like, whether it's Mobile Gamer Arnold, Cubs, whoever it is you like, support them. These folks take the time to put out content for you folks. But especially these folks here on the Jedi Academy, these guys, go above and beyond in my opinion. So please check out their videos, leave good constructive feedback, teach Warrior about YouTube live chat replay. These are the things that we need to know to make our channels better. So, anything else you want to add there, Dr. Finn?
Make sure you head on to the Tiltify and donate for the lightsaber. That's still available.
Let me give an update. So right now,
and also Warrior's poll is going to be available until the end of the year, so you can help determine where his Zeta is going.
I love the Warrior's poll. Let's see here. So right now we're currently at $15,649 out of our goal of $17,500. I mean, Finn, people are killing it. We're killing it. And do we have anything else planned for the day, Finn? We're going to do a Mandalorian stream tonight?
We'll do something Mandalorian in the evening. I might be hanging out in Discord, but yeah. I don't know if there's going to be any other streaming besides Mandalorian in the evening.
Yeah.
There's going to be a 2-episode catch-up, by the way.
Yeah, we have to do 5 and 6. So, really, really good stuff. So, we'll be on that tonight. I think that's it. Tomorrow, we'll have our D&D stream for Star Wars... our 5th edition Star Wars campaign. People are really loving it, so we're going to keep doing that. That'll be over on our... Wait, do we bring it back to YouTube?
Yep, it's on YouTube.
Okay, it's on YouTube now. So we were doing it on Twitch, so yes. So with that, we're going to call this one done. I still have more studying and certifications to get for this new job. It's a lot of certification, Finn. I didn't realize